So the young, yeah, you can come on stage, so we can already applause before I tell you his name. Is feat.collective. This is basically the practice. I don't know if it's really a practice, but you will give a little presentation of your work as well. But it's a collaborative of architects.
Collective, we call it.
A collective. So you work together, interdisciplinary, over many countries, and you realized one very beautiful project in Sri Lanka. I think we will see later. So Felix is here on behalf of all his colleagues. And he will give a presentation about the work and what we want to do with the initiators. We would like to help you in the next 12 months with mentoring if you want it. You saw who the initiators are, so maybe there's someone you would like to have an exclusive mentoring by, or you have some questions to the group. So this is how we would like to support your work and that you keep on doing what you do. Fantastic. So congratulations, and then...
Okay, good evening. One second. So, good evening. My name is Felix Lupatsch. I am an architect from Germany, from feat.collective. I'm going to show you now in the next 15 minutes one of our projects in Sri Lanka, which is a school for adults and community center in the eastern province of Sri Lanka. So, what we know about Sri Lanka usually is that it is a wonderful, beautiful country with a very intense nature on a very small terrain on a small island. So this is what it is famous for. The people living there are mostly Buddhists, a lot of Hindus, Muslims and Christians, everything usually mixed very close together. So, but this is also what is Sri Lanka famous for. Is recent history was definitely influenced very much by that by a 25-year long-lasting civil war. Between the Buddhist Sinhalese and the Tamil Muslims in the eastern area. So, and the second thing, but you of course for sure remember, almost exactly 15 years back, the big tsunami that affected the whole coast of almost all Southeast Asia, with many hundred thousands dead and people leaving the country and fleeing to India or to other countries in the world. And so that means, recently even about 6 months back, Sri Lanka was again negatively in the news in the Easter bombing attacks in Colombo and Batticaloa. Batticaloa is very close to our site. It's only 20 kilometers away from there. So the aim is not to build a negative picture of this country now. It's just that the Easter bombing attacks were aimed to separate the ethnics again from each other, also to bring them to fight with each other one more time. And so this is something where a fantastic Sri Lankan NGO comes into the picture. This guy here is, his name is Francis, he's a good friend of us. And he's a Sri Lankan guy, very charismatic guy, that had the opportunity to come to Germany to study. That was in 2005. His family left to Tamil Nadu in India to live there in a refugee camp for a couple of years now. And he, after some years, as I said, he's very charismatic. He met a lot of people that wanted to support him. He wanted to support something back in his country, to give something back of the chances what he had. So he founded an NGO. He found a lot of people that would like to contribute, that would like to give donations. And this is actually what they are doing. Once a year they organize a very big children's festival where they bring together all the different ethnics from all over the country of Sri Lanka And they play together, they dance together in mixed groups. So just to get to know each other a little bit better, to decrease prejudices, and so this is where we came into the picture. He's very good at finding donations, at bringing people together that would like to help. And so this is us. We are what you call a collective, which means we are professionals. Most of us are architects, but we are interdisciplinary. And we are not organized in a classical office. We just bring together what we can do to support. And we called it a feat, comes from the word featured, as many more people than this year came to help us over the years. From different academic or handcraft backgrounds, and some just worked in for a couple of months, couple of weeks, but this is a core group of us. The first thing we did in 2014 was to hold a workshop together with the locals in a village in Sri Lanka, and so everybody came together, and we would sit around these tables and start thinking, discussing, making sketches. Here you see a program. What a building look like? What does it need? A place for the NGO where they could make their children festival, where they could bring people together, where they could teach, where bringing that what the societies there need. And so it came out that the school system, the primary school system, is not very powerful, but it's there. But after that, the children or the young people, they don't have any opportunities to learn a certain job, to learn a craftsmanship or anything. So actually, what is required is an adult teaching center. This is one of that wonderful tablecloths which was created then there on the table, so everybody would sketch and draw and stick pictures to it. And for us architects, what we contributed, of course, we need, in Sri Lanka, we have to build, there are some climate rules that you have to follow. You build against the sun, but with the wind. You have to create wide cantilevered roofs that would give shaded areas. You have to allow the wind to pass through the building so that it would take away the energy of the sun energy. And here's the site located. So this is the eastern shore of Sri Lanka, the Gulf of Bengal. And so in 2004, the tsunami came really like up to 2 kilometers inside the country. So around this line where the track is shown here. And so after that, all the fishermen villages which were there on the coast, they were destroyed and had to be rebuilt. The government of Sri Lanka was establishing a buffer zone for the first 1 to 2 kilometers away from the coastline where no human settlements were allowed to be built anymore. And in the years after that catastrophe, there was a tremendous amount of donations that was collected in the whole world. And so many thousands of these small tsunami houses, they're called, have been rebuilt along the whole coastline. This is the wonderful beach here, there. So you see, it's mostly used by fishermen. This is a normal village situation there, the village of Parangyamadu. Here you see one of those small houses which was being built next to the coast. And so it's a single family house. It has no veranda, nothing. It's very simple, but therefore it was cheap. It could have been built many, many times and very quickly. But these villages, they don't have a center because it's not naturally grown, it was artificially made. And so we said, what we do, we need to give that village a community center, a place where they can meet, where social life can happen. And so in this case, all the trees were quite young because many of the trees have been destroyed through the tsunami as well, so they are, in that time they were about 10 years old. So for us it was of course important not to chop a single tree. So the structure was arranged precisely between the trees. Here you see it building up. The program from the workshop was established here. So we have some classrooms, we have a kitchen cafeteria, some workshops, nothing special, but that is what you need. Everything is arranged around this very important central courtyard where everything can happen, like sports, dance, music, festivals. Here you see the integration into the trees. Of course, there have been many thoughts also in the climate system, how this can be arranged. So you see the wind that can pass through these lifted cantilevered roofs. So it had to be simple. It had to be low tech. It had to be possible to be built in this place as well. So the year after, we went together to move to the village of Padang Yamado and stayed there together for the building period. This is one of our construction site meetings. In this picture, this just shows how powerful such a simple geometry of a circle can be. I mean, it's nothing very special, a circle, right? But the whole village here came together, formed this circle to show them what was going to happen there, to integrate them, because the worst thing what you can do as a foreigner, to come there and build a building as an alien building into the ground and then just leave. And so one of the major tasks is to make the people feel it's theirs and to let them be part of it, especially. So you see it growing. The concrete structure we needed for earthquake stability in this case. And it also made us liberal from the facade material. So you see, this was our site office. The children were coming every day. The roof structure as well. We decided to use steel trusses because in Sri Lanka wood is extremely costly. The ancient forests and jungles are small. They are too valuable to chop down teak wood trees. And the metal structure also is of course longer lasting against termites, all these things. So in Sri Lanka there was an ancient woodworking tradition, but it's gone now because there are no major forests anymore that are not protected, and the wood would have been to be imported from abroad. So we wanted to avoid that. These trusses were welded in the sand. That was incredible to see. As well, you won't find any metal worker in Germany who would ever work like these guys here. They were really fantastic. They know how to do it. No? The helmets we brought from Germany, I think they used it more for sun protection. This picture is only to show it is so difficult in Sri Lanka to integrate female workers into a construction process. It's a man's job. And these three ladies here are the widows, some of the widows from that village. And they usually have a quite difficult standing in the Sri Lankan society. And they came on their own every day, come to the site. And they are not only cleaning, they actually do a very important job. Because all these piles of leaves and trees and construction site waste, it would attract poisonous snakes that they would habit there. And so they actually, this is a very important job for security. And the good thing was that they really came by themselves, showed us that this project is accepted in the society of that village and people would like to contribute. And at the end of the day, they received the payment, so like the construction site workers also did. So for us, it was good to see. Brick, however, we decided for brick for the facade structures, as it is a very traditional construction material in Sri Lanka, which is really done like this. It's handcrafted in small workshops, distributed all over the country. They get burned in wood fire then, and it was locally available, locally sourced. So the budget did not allow any glazed windows, and so we developed a system that can work with perforated brick walls, with a very simple system, so that the wind is allowed to pass through, and the direct sunlight has been held off. And this is our masonry crew. And then so here we had to discuss a little bit, of course, especially when we wanted to convince them that we do not want to use plaster, because that is what they know. A wall gets being built up, and then you plaster it. And things like this, they haven't seen before. But once they saw the first walls standing in the village, they also told us that they can really understand now and see that there is a beauty in this rough, open, natural material, and that made us very happy. When we saw this then, when the light was, the sun was going on behind, it gives display of light. This was really beautiful. We always had a good atmosphere on site with our craftsmen here. This shows how that solid material of a brick can really become like a textile almost, also really very transparent. The rooms itself were openable to the courtyard, so that the courtyard and the classrooms can become one. You can play that inside-outside game, wonderful, of course, in Sri Lanka with this climate. So here you see the arrangement in total. It was an illegal drone flight, which we could arrange. Of course, the structure had to be lockable as well. Also, for security reasons, you had to stop roaming cattle around that should not be able to enter inside, also against burglars. So it had to be possible to close it. Here you see the playful action in the central courtyard. So they came every evening then, once it was almost built up, so the youngsters from the village, to play volleyball, to play ball games. You see some first lessons. The water tower, of course, you need. The doors also were constructed in local wood, Acacian wood, which was done by a local carpenter in the neighbor village. And of course, a building in Sri Lanka cannot be finished without a very big ceremony party. So the first children festival was being held up with almost 2,000 children, again, from the whole country coming together here. That was wonderful. There was singing and dancing. The atmosphere was simply amazing. These are some later pictures from the NGO. What are they doing? And also this project now is it's been built up in 2016. So with these projects, I mean, there are so many good intended projects, schools, community centers, whatever, all over the world that have been built, often by students, often by people like us who work in small collectives together, or so with NGOs. And but there are so many that get abandoned after a couple of years once the initial spirit has left, and because the people don't feel it as their own. I think this is one of the biggest tasks in such projects. And so in our case here, I think we're on a good way there. You remember Francis from the beginning, the initiator of the NGO. In 2005, when he came to Germany, his family was moving to India to live in a refugee settlement there in Tamil Nadu. And in 2016, they came back, back to their home region, and they now live as caretakers next to this school, and they take care of it, that everything is running. You are so dependent on the people, on the users in the end, who do it, who keep this project alive. We as architects, we can only do a part, and we follow it up, of course. We try to keep publicity also. That's why I'm very happy with such a prize, to get the opportunity also then to talk about it, because this is what keeps projects like this alive. It is very important, because they are still dependent on donations, of course. And so with these pictures then, I say thank you for the attention.
Thank you very much. It's a very impressive project. How long did it take again from the idea until it was completed?
We started in 2014. There were the first workshops. The construction started in 2015, finished 16, and now such projects are never finished actually. They always go on.
And any other projects like that on the horizon, or?
Yes, in India, something is also going on there, and now that my colleagues, as we live a little bit distributed in Zurich and Stuttgart mostly, so yes, some new things are coming up, but not ready yet to show.
Okay, so all the best. So, and if you have any questions or want to support the work of him, he's still here. So thank you again and congratulations.